Cool. We're waiting for Shan to hop in. We'll give her a second, and we'll have her introduce herself. But today's conversation, I think, is going to be very casual. Feel free to participate in the comments. But we wanted to talk about just how the future of content may not be creation; it may just be curation. What we mean by that is not to say that you shouldn't be creating content, um, but we already know that the internet is completely flooded with so much content already. And then now with AI and the ability to create content at scale, um, I don't know about you guys, but it feels like kind of overwhelming to me to even start to like pull up my social apps these days. And so I wanted to kind of just do a couple things today, really just talk about the need for curation, how we're seeing it happen, who's doing it well, what we think any emerging trends with curation might be. And then from there, I want to shift. Hey, Shan,
Hey.
welcome. Hey, just kind of setting the stage for the conversation today about content curation versus creation. So yeah, just kind of want to have a conversation about how like the current landscape feels and what we feel like maybe some emerging issues might be, especially with the rise of AI and an entire generation that wants to be content creators. So maybe explore that a little bit. And then I think jaunt boards potentially is a really interesting tool to help curate content. It might not be the main use case for it, but I think, in in true tech startup fashion, it's worth exploring all the different ways that someone might use this tool because we're still very early stages trying to figure out what this thing is and who it's for. So today might feel a little bit different than how we've been talking about jaunt boards, but I've pulled together a few examples of how it could be really helpful with content curation. And then I've asked Shan to join us. She has an idea of something that she's wanting to do, and I wanted to put our own team, specifically Fletcher, on the spot to just kind of build in real time and explore if this might be a good tool for her. How's that sound? Good? Yeah, yeah. Awesome.
Great.
Cool. So yeah, if anyone's here and wants to participate in the comments, feel free to join into the conversation, ask questions, um, and that sort of thing. But yeah, I guess just open it up. How are you guys? How are you guys feeling about content these days?
I, I love I love how you're setting that up, Nicole, because I was thinking I just had a conversation about with Bailey the other day, talking about how um, I think our almost immature idea of content is that like you have to say something new, and that's how you get found. And something I kind of discovered a while ago, I was looking at a bunch of like TED Talks and just a bunch of people who are like I really respect as far as like speakers or people who are creating content. And I realized, kind of had a self discovery, that it was less that they were saying new things, it was that they were like crystallizing thoughts that already existed or saying them better or more succinct. And for me, it was, I'm not even a content person, but for me, it really helped me realize how much value there is in curation or saying something well versus saying something new. Because I'm always hungry for saying something new. I think that's like the ultimate. And so I think I even hold myself back sometimes where it's like I won't participate in something until I can bring something new to the table. I think that's one of my personality flaws or whatever superpowers. But the fact that like there is a ton of value in just going through all of the piles of data and then just like turning them into something more succinct. I mean, look at the success of like the For Dummies series of books where it's like, hey, I'm going to take this beautiful novel and just shorten it down to like 20 pages for you. It's like people are hungry for that too. Like they want to see things that are more like direct and succinct so they can increase the amount that they get to consume as well. So anyway, I love the push, and I totally agree. As AI enables people to maybe do what they were dreaming of doing, which was to create content in the first place, we'll realize there's not as much of an appetite for that anymore. It's like people want to just see things that are broken down or said really well and really short.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, Shan, you maybe introduce yourself and talk about what you do in the social space. And I'm just kind of curious of what you're seeing there in terms of curation across social channels.
Well, it's interesting because the ultimate curation, used to be Instagram and Pinterest, and I think Pinterest is definitely still that. But Instagram has went through some changes, and when I started being a social media manager, it was a lot closer to its um, more of its original form, which was pretty stuff. and, now, and now there's still pretty stuff. I like pretty stuff. But as you can see, I've prettied up my house for Christmas. But TikTok is very different. And TikTok is informing Instagram. So TikTok, it didn't matter what it looks like. Doesn't matter what it looks like if it's engaging. I mean, people are in their beds, unshowered, on the side, talking to their camera, and there's millions of views. And it's a hot take, it just doesn't matter. And that's informed Instagram a little bit. It's helped Instagram strip down a little bit. It's turned Instagram into another video app. So, there has been a lot of changes on Instagram because I'm primarily an Instagram organic social media manager. So there's been a lot of changes. But one of the changes, I think, of these hot takes are sort of like informational. The videos on Instagram that started performing really well were, this is how to make a cup of coffee, in 5 minutes. Or, it was always how to do something better. And those videos went crazy. And so that was, like information we already had, maybe, but better. Same, but different. That became a whole thing. And I think that's very much still there. But the fact that influencers, or I mean, I will say bloggers, because I feel like what I'm about to say really more applies to the people that have blogs attached to their Instagram influencing. Those bloggers, I feel like, do actually have really loyal audiences. I think the more successful ones are like, I'm a mom and I renovated this house on a budget and this is how we do it. And they're taking you along for their real stuff. And those people have followers and loyal ones. And those comments are real and that still exists. And then there's a lot of fakes out there that look like Instagram influencers that everything's bought and their photos are from those photo sessions where you can rent what looks like a private jet and pose in it. I mean, there's a lot of fake stuff too. And that's crossed over to, of course, Instagram and everywhere else. And that idea of the prevailing, which is also very new from when I started, is that real? And like, I hear my mom going, well, I don't know if this is real now, because I, years ago had to say, oh, mom, that's not real. That's a scam. They're trying to get you to click that link. Or, oh, like, that looks like Dolly Parton's talking and selling you that face cream, but that's an AI thing. And they're just trying, and she goes, well, I don't know what's real anymore. And that's new,
Yeah.
That's new and very concerning.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, thanks for kind of painting a picture of the landscape. I think to pull it back into the curation lens, it sounds like there's certain platforms, you mentioned Pinterest, that's like designed inherently to be a curation social
Yeah.
platform, right? So that's going to be really strong on that platform, curation. And then you've got TikTok that, depending on the individual in the page, it might feel a little more creative, but it tends to be more of the Wild West. People are just creating random things, hoping it pops off. And then Instagram's kind of like in this interesting middle where you've probably seen this, like a strategy for a business that's about to launch. Maybe they don't have a brand yet, maybe they don't have a product yet, but they know they're coming. It's hard to create anything new because you don't have those materials yet. So a strategy on Instagram, for instance, could be actually curating a bunch of content within that space. So, jaunt boards, we didn't do this, but we could have built this whole Instagram account a year before we ever launched that was just curating really good ideas and philosophies and people in the freelance or independent business space, right? Just to kind of create a tribe and a following. So curation can become a really powerful tool before you're even a business.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing that I thought you mentioned that was kind of interesting to follow that rabbit trail was you have influencers creating content, and especially the ones who are authentic and can actually build an audience that genuinely is interested in them in their lives. There's a need to create some sort of rabbit trail to get them off platform into another platform. That could be their website, that could be their blog, it could be their TikTok. We know that's an important business strategy in general, because if you go all in on one platform and then you lose your account or whatever, like we
You
we
need
we all understand the risks of that. So you need to create these rabbit trails to other platforms. But you mentioned something really interesting, which is like, how do you make coffee though? Like, I know how to make coffee, but like, I want to know what machine you're using, and I want to know what coffee you're buying. I want to know your process. And so that kind of opens up some interesting opportunities to take people deeper into your own experience. And that's where jaunt boards becomes a little interesting. Yeah. I mean, Fletcher, you want to kind of share that table example from YouTube? I think that's always a really good
Yeah.
centering.
Yeah, I love watching, like, I mean, among lots of things, but watching like someone like build a cabinet or something. And I remember I was watching a guy build these cabinets for his kitchen, and it was super interesting. It was like 45 minutes long, and there's lots of like intricate steps. And by the time he was done, I was like, that's sweet. I could totally do all that, but I didn't remember at all what the first few steps were. And I could definitely like go back and rewind and kind of replay through it. But I was like, gosh, wouldn't it be nice if like you could convert the media type from a YouTube video into a jaunt board so that you can more self-discover the steps and phases, and like even like see, because as he was talking, he's like, yeah, at this step I use this, this kind of nail gun, or I use this kind of cutting machine or whatever. It's like, gosh, it'd be so nice to like see that whole process that he just went through as a jaunt board, so I can self-discover it, and then on each like phase or milestone have like links to the tool he was using, or links to the way he was building it, so that I can kind of use that as almost a recipe list, like, so I can go out and do it myself, but then just kind of walk through it step by step. I don't know how many of you like needed to replace this one little thing on like your I don't know, fridge or something, and then you finally find a video on YouTube of someone who's like fixing the same problem, and it's like 23 minutes long, and it's like they have like a whole intro. For some reason it's just some old man like fixing stuff, and it's like, oh my gosh, and you just like you start like fast forwarding through it, and of course inevitably you blast through it, skip the part you needed, you rewind, and you just, it's like finally you just watch like 5 minutes. But it's like, it'd be nice as a media, I mean, and if it's not jaunt boards, but something that allows you to take a format of media, a blog, or a video, and basically turn it into a jaunt board or something like a jaunt board that lets you kind of go directly to the part you want to see it spelled out for you with the links that they had, they involved. I mean, that'd be such a great way to interact with a lot of guides that are either blogs or videos at the moment.
Yeah, it would be like a interactive recipe or
Yeah.
a materials list, even if you were talking about a construction project. Like you'd see the materials list, but you could click on, the screwdriver, and it would show you what screwdriver it was or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly.
And if you're super entrepreneurial, you probably have heard of affiliate marketing, and you could go to Amazon and become an affiliate marketer, and you can make content showing you using the tool and get paid that way. And you could also put that link to that tool in jaunt boards. So anytime someone clicks on that and buys that, then you make money. So I think it's just like it's another way to explore helping people who want to make money online, create this user journey and this ecosystem to really, help people get jobs done, but also monetize that along the way. I think that's kind of interesting. I'm going to share my screen real quick because we've been playing around just to visualize this idea. We've got a couple of boards to look at here. Alrighty. Share window. Okay, let me know if you guys can see this. Yeah?
Yep.
Okay. So these aren't really fully blown out by any means, but I mean, you can imagine someone on TikTok or Instagram who's just like into gardening. They make all their social content about it. People really like their personality and stuff, and it's like it'd be really easy for them to create a jaunt board that's like how to plant a garden or how to, I don't know, I actually don't understand this world very well, but like really kind of document their process. Again, attach any sort of link, materials, I don't know, seeds, right? And then it could also inform the content strategy. So instead of just being like, here's my process, here's a link to buy the thing, just making little videos of me showing you, here's how deep I dig for my strawberries. Watch me do it. And then they could put that out on TikTok. And so it's just like this ecosystem that one little TikTok video could drive you here. This jaunt board could drive you back to TikTok, etc. So that's kind of a interesting way to think about all the potential for any type of topic. And what we don't have down here that our tool does allow is the ability for you to create a call to action. So if anyone, let's say someone is working through this process and they have a question, you could put your Calendly link, so you can create a way for your audience or a customer or a user to be able to reach out to you and maybe buy an hour of your time to pick your brain and get some advice and actually connect with you. Another way to monetize what you know how to do. These guides, by the way, can be completely free, or you can gate them. So you can keep them free, but ask for an email, which solves a lot of issues right now that creators are having, which is like they've got a lot of followers, but they don't own their emails. So that's kind of an interesting way to help people collect that without having to launch a newsletter. That's not like for everybody. The other thing that you could do is actually gate it for a cost, $10, $100. It really just kind of depends on the value of this jaunt board and how much your audience would be willing to pay for it. Just to kind of give you guys a visual reference of what a jaunt board looks like. Anything else that you guys would add?
I would do social. I guess I would do social, like a bar of social links for like the creator of this, so that when you land on it, you could also follow them on social or something.
Yep.
I guess to keep the loop, but what you just said was like gating the lesson with like just an email address and not a cost. Like, I love that. And it is in, I do organic social. And so like, it doesn't matter how many followers you have on Instagram. If that's the only way you can talk to them, you can't email the same people.
Mm-hmm.
It's a problem.
Yeah. One of my friends, and she's also in the Jumpsuit Network, her name's Sarah Jane, and she's been doing Instagram influencing longer than most people have. And she owns the account. Well, it used to be Enneagram and Coffee. Now it's just her name, Sarah Jane Case. But she has like, I don't know, about half 500,000 followers on that platform. And she's a solopreneur. I mean, that's probably more technical than just influencer, because she's written books, she's launched a podcast, she has almost 700 episodes, so she's figured out how to monetize across a variety of platforms. And I think there's a lot of people aspiring to figure out how to do that. So she's done that really well, and over time, she's had a lot of people ask her, "Hey, you've launched a podcast. How do you do that? Hey, you've written a book. How do you do that? Hey, you're Enneagram and coffee. How do you make coffee?" So that's a really interesting example because I've already dove into kind of exploring this with her. And so jaunt boards really becomes an option for her to basically document the things that people are already asking her, you know? And I think we all have moments like that in real life. For me, people are like, "Oh, you started a business. How do you write a business plan?" And I'm like, "This is not a casual conversation." Like, I am not gonna sit like, I love you, but I am not gonna sit here and spend the next hour trying to tell you how to write a business plan because you're gonna forget it anyway, and quite honestly, you need to pay me, okay? So I think we all have things like that in life where it'd be really nice to say, "Hey, I would love to help you write a business plan. By the way, let me just text you a link because I've already documented that process and you can figure out how to do it right here. Work your way through it. You're welcome." And if I wanted to make myself available for any service, like to consult or to do a portion of the business plan or something, then I could make that available in my jaunt board and they can reach out and it's already positioned to be a business conversation. I freaking love that. Yeah.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. And I think, it's like we're living in a time where it feels a little icky sometimes to try to, like, monetize everything about our lives, right? I think we don't wanna go so far that we're like, I'm an individual just trying to make money off of all my friends and family, like, because that feels gross. But we also like, we are living in a time where we're all, like, trying to, like, get out of the 9 to 5 and be entrepreneurs or solopreneurs and make a living doing what we do, and so there's gotta be a more natural way to do this, and I feel like jaunt boards could really be a tool to help make that conversation more natural.
And what's interesting about the curation conversation too is you don't have to be the source expert of it. You can just do the legwork of summarizing and curating stuff, other people's content basically, and putting it together. I mean,
Exactly.
even with that cabinet example, actually, let me share my screen real quick. I'll show
Yeah.
you. I just mocked up that exact conversation we just had. I don't think this is the video I was watching back before, but basically you have that original like video, right? That you can go back and watch the whole thing. I think it's 45 minutes long, but then just taking exactly what he walks through in his video and then putting it out as far as this is what he talks about. And it'd be nice if we could even have like timestamps on each of these in the description or even the clips there. And then I just put one example here, but the cutting and milling, like Nicole was saying, jumps out to where you can buy that item. But what it's interesting about this process is like I don't have to have ever built a kitchen cabinet before. I can just go through and watch a bunch of people like how they build it and then curate it and put together a nice board for people so that they know how to do it themselves with the example links of like where I got this information. And this becomes so valuable, and I never have built a cabinet in my whole life. I mean, the For Dummies series, they didn't write any original content. They just summarize things, but there's value in just that process. And so anyway, I think it's really interesting, Nicole. I think you're onto something. I think people who maybe are enticed by jaunt boards or just that format, you don't have to even have a proprietary. If you don't like have your own secret sauce of how you do something, which I doubt it, by the way, and get a hibachi design session to prove us wrong, because I think everyone has an amazing process they can offer the world. But at the very least, you can see trends of what people are looking for, what they are like, what the interests are currently, and like for a while there, it was like tiny houses and stuff like that. A
Yeah.
jaunt board would have been a perfect board at the time to create and be like, hey, here's the 12 influencers in this area. Here's how they were doing it. I've combined them all into one jaunt board as far as how to do it with links to like what they were suggesting. And so without ever building or, creating my own tiny home, I could have created a hot topic, like amazing resource that you can gate behind that email or even a cost.
Mhm.
And it's a new, it's a like cut through the crap kind of media content type, right? Format. Yeah, I think that's interesting in its own vein.
Yeah.
Especially since audiences want it to be, you know,
Yes.
we're being conditioned to get it quick. I mean, even on TikTok, if the hook isn't strong, it's over.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like the hook has to be strong and in social. And even in how we are looking for it, it's just when I'm online looking for a recipe, it's always jump to recipe because the blog talking about the market that day and what the shallots look
Yep.
like. I'm just like, okay, where's the recipe?
Mhm.
And so no one's reading the recipe blogs anymore, FYI. And I feel like if you and just as like a former educator, I remember putting my first class on, oh my gosh, it was a brilliant tool. Now I can't think of what it was called. It was basically like a Facebook page for your class, but it wasn't on Facebook. It was called
Mhm.
something else. And you built your class. So you had like a social profile, and then you had the classes you teach, and the students had a profile, and the classes that they were in were on there. And it was like amazing. I loved this platform. It came out right before I stopped teaching. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can put all my stuff in one spot. And if someone's absent, the PDF is there, and I don't have to dig through the piles on my desk to find it, or
Yeah.
and all their grades are there. It was like I thought that by this time everyone would be using this tool. I don't know what's happened because I'm not
No,
educated.
I love that. My sister's an educator, and she has talked to us a little bit. We should explore this in another LinkedIn Live, but yeah, the ability to use jaunt boards to curate lesson plans, curate materials,
Oh yeah.
all sorts of things. YouTube videos to watch, whatever. Like I just pulled up a new screen. Yeah, go ahead and cut to it. So just before the call, I spent an hour just kind of whiteboarding and pulling together some ideas. And I'm going to fly through this because I want to give us a little bit of time with Shan to just kind of allow her to envision what she's kind of wanting to do and just see, we'll design in real time and see if this fits for you. But so I was thinking about, you've got social, you've got search. We've already talked about how some social platforms are inherently designed to curate versus others. But we saw a big need for, products like Linktree, because Instagram in particular wasn't letting people bounce from their platform very easily. So they'd be like link in bio, and there'd be like one link option. And so, you have companies like Linktree that emerge, and I'm sure you guys are all familiar with it, so I don't need to really explain a ton, but it's really designed to at least curate call to actions like portals. I'm going to take you to my website. I'm going to take you to this news article that I referenced, or I'm going to take you to my Venmo so you can pay me some money. So you've got that going on. You've also got in search, for many, many years, this is nothing new. A lot of content performs well in SEO because it's curating lists essentially. So here's just one, 12 classic content curation tools for marketers. And then the whole page, as you can imagine, is just optimized for search. It goes through all these platforms. It's got the headline, it's got a little description, and maybe a video for each one. The problem with search is companies have been doing it for so long that the ones that have the most money to spend and are the bigger brands are the ones winning. And so it's really hard. It's not impossible. It depends on your niche, but it's really hard to compete when you're an individual or a smaller business. Okay, so shifting gears there. I was trying to think of what am I curating throughout my life naturally that feels like there's not a good solution for? So obviously, it's December, it's the holiday season, and I've been working on a Christmas list. You can imagine birthday lists, anniversary lists, whatever. I don't know how you guys tell people what you want for Christmas, but here's kind of like how Ashley and I have been doing it. So she goes on Amazon and she'll make this list for me, which is really easy because if I can just kind of tap and add to cart and buy. So that's fun. But what it doesn't help with is like if she wants something that's not on Amazon, it's not going to show up on that list. So it's not 100% perfect way to deliver a Christmas list. Okay. So then I was thinking, well, how else would we make a list of things if it's not on Amazon? So then it's like, I don't know, do I email her or text her? So then it's just like a list of links. And then, you know, it's like I can click on this and go there and buy it. It's just like really clunky, you know? And so I was trying to envision like what would a Christmas list look like on a Jot board? So this is called androgynous Christmas list.
Oh.
Made for made for anyone. And so let me click into it so you can see. This is just kind of what it looks like, just for fun. These are things that like I either have gotten in past Christmases or want this Christmas, but just things I think are really cool. You can list them out. You can link to Amazon if it is there. You can just link to the website. They can pull it up and buy it. And what I like about it is it's like it's dynamic. It's not a static email list that's like, oh shit, I forgot something. What are you gonna do? Reply all and add it again? Like that's just so stupid. It gets really clunky. So everything's right here, and you can delete things, you can move things around, you can, you know, copy it for next year. So that's kind of one little fun thing I was
Wow,
exploring.
that's really cool.
Any thoughts on that?
I was just gonna say, this is interesting, like exploration, because obviously, like Jot boards, the feature list goes so much deeper than just a list, but it's really showing like the power of simply the formatting. Like the Jot board format is just, you know, is a nice clean way to link to a bunch of stuff and kind of curate a list.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's a really simple UI that you design, Fletcher. It's like
Right.
you've got it's designed to categorize, to have a hierarchy, and to quickly take someone to the thing that they're looking for. You know, so we've been using it primarily to help people accomplish jobs.
Yeah.
But in a sense, buying me things for Christmas is kind of a job.
Yeah.
You know, it's maybe not a process, but it's a job. Okay.
This like really sparks my the creativity with, you know, the use cases for this. And like one of the things that I deal with all the time is like I'm going out with friends and I'm like, where should we go? We're in the city, 12 new restaurants just opened. Like, where do we go? And like we always make the joke like, oh, like, well, let's have like a fishbowl, right? Like a fishbowl of places, but like throwing it big city guides. There you go.
My gosh, I explored this already. Let's take a look.
Let's take a look.
Okay, so I was thinking like, how do we currently, you know, if someone comes to Nashville, they're like, what should I do when I'm in Nashville?
Oh my God, this is such a thing.
How am I normally doing this? I guess I'm sending a list of, this is Cincinnati, but it's just a list of things, which is cool. But you know what they have to do? They have to go Google every single one and figure out what the hell does Rheingeist even mean? Oh, it's a brewery. Cool. That sounds interesting. Where is it? Then I got to go to Google Maps. It's just like so many clicks. Ashley has really epic lists, by the way, and she does them in her notes app. And again, it's like cool. You can like check things off, like I went there or whatever, but you can't link out. It's not an easy experience to be able to go look at the place and figure out how to get there. So I was playing around with Jot boards and created this. This is just a template. There's a lot of different ways that you could do this, by the way. But I was thinking, okay, me as Nicole Ayers, there's certain cities that I know more than others or love more than others. So I could easily create like a list and then a portal to a custom Jot board just for Cincinnati, which is where I'm from originally. And so let me actually click into this one. This was really cool. And we actually, for the past 5 years at Jumpsuit, we've been working with the Cincinnati experience. So we've created content for 5 years about Cincinnati, and my brain was going crazy about different ways we could organize that for them. But anyway, yeah, you could create the structure however you want to. I was kind of playing around like people want to know where to eat. They want to know what the cool neighborhoods are. They want to know what the things to do are, etc. And so, you know, for instance, like I've got this weird and quirky category. If you click into this, I have a link to the Cincinnati Experience Instagram that we run. I don't think this house actually has a website, by the way. I mean, if it was a restaurant, it would have a website. I could link to that.
I love that. Is it someone's home?
It is. It is
Oh my
someone's home. There's a couple of cool houses within this carousel, like this spaceship. There's a castle in Cincinnati. Who knew, right? So what the Jot board would enable you to do is just kind of visualize something, even if there's a like there's this YouTube video of, like gives you a little tour of the house. So again, that's a way more interesting way to help someone plan a trip, because they can look at this and be like, oh God, that place looks worth going to. That's really dope. And then you can even just attach a link to the address so that when they're on their cell phone in their car figuring out like, hey, it's time to go to the mushroom house, they just click that link and it takes them there. So there's a lot of different ways that you could build boards. One thing that I wish I had time to that I didn't explore was like, you could even organize these by days. So like day 1, literally do these things and follow this schedule. Eat breakfast here, go to this park, right? You could organize it that way. And I'm sure a million other ways. What do you guys think about that?
I love that, because how many times have I sent my Paris list? But my Paris list is, what I do is I give the Google Maps, and I have and so I share my Google Map list, and it comes up on someone's Google Maps. But when you see it you don't know what this restaurant looks or feels like. You just have this map dot, and that means nothing. It's like so out of context. And some of my links are vegan bakeries, which, what's that? So like, there's no essence of a place when I do that.
Yeah.
And I've actually done like, there's been email lists even sent to me about Paris where it's just like lists of names of things that are all in French and I don't know what that means. So, especially if you're traveling internationally or something, there's so many, like, you're not getting the essence of what the thing is.
Yeah.
There's like all the ways you can share a list none of those can talk to each other.
Yeah, and that's such a good point. And what this is missing, even though it's curating some really helpful things, this is even missing the essence of me being like, okay, so when you go to this place though, you gotta order this thing, right? So then like that's where social media can get pulled in, especially if you're like a food blogger or a traveler or something. And even if you're not, like, I could just live my life and I could be at a bar and I could just make a really quick video and be like, yo, this is like the best here in Nashville, and just like show a little picture of it. And then it feels like I'm the guy the entire way, and I can just upload this video right here and people can feel like they're learning from me. And
if you are a blogger, there's so many ways to customize multiple lists. You can have a Cincinnati general list, but you can also have Cincinnati in 3 days, Cincinnati in 2 days, Cincinnati in 24 hours. And so you can specify travel. You can you could have like lists. What am I trying to say? Like, right, one big list, and then you can have like variables of that.
Yeah, it's infinite. I mean, a lot of times where people are like, what's the East Nashville in Denver? Like, what's the East Nashville of whatever? And it's like to even like make a list like that. Anyway, the sky's the limit. Okay, so here's the other one that I explored, and then we'll kind of kick it over to Shan. We've been talking to this woman who has a brand called the Crappy Childhood Fairy. She specializes in CPTSD, and she has a YouTube channel where, hundreds of videos about trauma, essentially. And it's organized pretty well. You can see there's like popular videos, there's videos that focus on relationships in particular, or work, or whatever those categories are. So there are some platforms, YouTube in particular, that allows you to kind of like create and organize a bit. And we've already talked about how cool it'd be within that video, it'd take you to a jaunt board, like in the description. So that's like a way that jaunt board can integrate on this channel. But at the end of the day, like I can binge her content. Like I can binge a bunch of things on Netflix. But if I want to follow a process and actually like do the work, in this instance, it's like mental health, right? Like it would be really cool for her to actually create some jaunt boards, taking all the content that already exists and just make some guides. So for instance, we were playing around with like, what if your therapist mentioned, yeah, you might want to look into CPTSD? Well, then you can take this YouTube video that teaches about what it is. You can take the free quiz on her website. You can maybe consult with someone in her company, by the way, here's the 3rd milestone, and she's already monetizing potentially. You can curate all the free resources that she has. So this is like the link tree kind of, right? So here's a portal to my podcast. Here's a portal to my blog. Here's portals to events and memberships, etc. So that was one thing we explored. And then we also, you can create niche jaunt boards on, in this instance, it's relationships. So she's probably got like 50 videos about relationships. They're called different, they have different titles on YouTube, but I was just kind of playing around. Let's click on one, people pleasing. Trauma taught you to abandon yourself and make others happy, but it doesn't. So but like here, it's very simple. If I feel like this is an area that I'd like to work on, people pleasing, then it's very easy for me to find that relevant video or skim down and find another thing. And then again, ultimately lead someone to the call to action, which is be coached by us. We can monetize this, but it feels like a very free, helpful guide that leads you there eventually. So obviously this is really niche. This is in like the mental health space, but you can probably imagine being an individual or a brand that has content everywhere and the ability now to create really helpful curated guides for people.
Something I really love about these examples too, it's like it turns every sentence basically in your funnel into an action item as well. Just like looking at that list, like each milestone has an action you can take. So at whatever point of the funnel, if you want to call it that, you get stuck, there's a way to get unstuck or a way to kind of move forward on the next thing. I think that's really, really interesting. And it's also, I think, the way I think when I'm reading through, I'm just looking for, my brain is trying to like organize the data in like action statements. It's like, okay, cool. I guess first I need to do this discovery thing and figure out if it's me or not. And then I need to, take this quiz. But this just lays it out directly. And then that link being visible too. It's like, it's just so, it's like doing the processing for you. It's helping us not have to think, just walk through this step. It's really cool.
Yep, exactly. All right, well, let's play a little game. Let's Fletcher, let's have you log into Shan's account. You got her email in the text, yeah?
Yep.
Okay, we'll have you log in, and we'll do a little bit of hibachi design, which basically means Fletcher's gonna attempt to build your jaunt board in real time, and we'll watch him do it. So to get started, Shan, just kind of paint a picture of what you were hoping to be able to even do.
Okay, so I always get this feedback. You know all the best things. And recently your wife just told me that. And I was like, thank you so much. I've heard that before. And I had a friend years ago that was like, Shan will not steer you wrong. If she says, get the mac and cheese at wherever, get the mac and cheese. It's going to be the best you've ever had. So this has just been something that like has been, and I just thought it was a very nice compliment. And then, I get this daily email, and maybe you do too. It's called The Good Trade. And I subscribed to it back in the pandemic, and it was like a good newsletter. So it's a good newsletter every day that just has like one or two things. And it's like, get this sustainable such and such. And it's a link and you go to it. Or it's like, this new BIPOC poet has the best book of poetry ever. And you learn about that person. And sometimes it's a Spotify list. It's just all these different things. And it so much communicates like very similar to what I have been thinking about doing, but there's just so much of that. There's so much newsletter, and they're all email lists. So this idea of having like a weekly link, or I don't know if it's daily or whatever, of these like things or what, it's still very new, this idea, but how is that not a blog? How is it not an email newsletter? And how is it not a Substack? Because Substack is also this place that's very like, there is this Instagram account, and it's SF Girl by Bay, or by the Bay. It's San Francisco Girl by the Bay is what it is, but it's SF Girl by the Bay. And she has this amazing curation on Instagram. It's like OG, beautiful Instagram, and it's all curated. And she has great taste.
Mhm.
And the only way to get her links is to get into her Substack. And I actually have it pulled up. And monthly, it's $5. Annual, it's $40 a year. And you can't get into her Substack without this gate.
Yeah.
And I feel like $5 a month is a lot just to find a link for these shoes. And I'm like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
I love you, but I can't do it. So I guess I was like, what is a way to make, and I'm assuming jump boards would be just like, if it was an email list, it would be a landing place for all of those things. But there has to be a way to organize it to where, I mean, obviously, if there's only 5 in the beginning, they would all be there. But eventually, there would be a way to say, like, living rooms, or I don't know, Paris, or you know what I mean? It wouldn't necessarily be a how-to, although there could be some like jump board. I don't know if you can do this in jump boards, like cross links where it's like, I love this kitchen, but how do I make those cabinets? Here's a link to Fletcher's board about cabinets.
Yep.
Mhm.
Oh, but like, I guess like, what is how could jump boards make this a blog, listserv, not Substack?
Great question.
I don't know.
No, it's perfect. I feel like this is a really great platform for what you're wanting to do. Yeah, Fletcher, why don't you kind of walk through what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm just kind of hearing you talk through. And at first I was thinking, okay, so it's like Shan's list, and then maybe you have one for 2023, 2024, and we break them down by month. So every month you can kind of add what you want. So obviously this would go all the way back, but in November you would post, these cool things you found, and then probably a description too, but let's just do this. And actually, if you have examples, we could totally dive into that. That'd be more helpful than just things. But you could add a description, about why you like this thing and what's interesting about it. So it's like a micro blog, here.
Right.
And why. And then you link out to that thing, right? So let's say it's I don't know, bouncy ball.
Shan's favorite bouncy ball.
Yeah.
My favorite bouncy ball. Or a Pilates ball. I need to buy a Pilates
ball. That's better.
Okay, awesome.
Shan's bouncy balls.
I spell Pilates.
Fletcher, I love that. That's what came to your mind. I want to know more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have those in your?
There we go. Perfect. Thank you.
I do need a good Pilates ball. Okay.
Perfect. So this is the one.
That's it.
Man, that's a
good
killer
one.
Pilates ball.
It's pro body.
All right, so in here, let's go ahead and add this real quick, this link. And thanks for picking something I don't know how to spell well. We're gonna work through it.
Pilates.
It's like Pontius Pilate.
Oh yeah, that helps.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Okay, so we have this nice link here. This would be your affiliate link, though. If you did an Amazon deal, let's actually edit the milestone. All right, sweet. So we have one example already in here where it's like, okay, you have your Pilates ball. You have this short little description of why you like it. The example link out, maybe, a link to an influencer as well. You can put whatever. One thing we didn't mention, we're right now in the team side. So this is your view, Shan. When you are in here, you'll actually be able to see the total clicks that you're getting on these.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can see unique and total clicks that are going through it. So you can kind of get a sense for where people's interests are and like continue to curate and build new, items based on that. So, okay. So you've done Pilates ball, thing 2, thing 3, whatever. And this basically, as you update this, it goes live. So if I were to, view this on the public side.
Oh, that's awesome. So it's like Linktree in that way.
Yeah, basically you're seeing the stuff I've already put in here, but if I, if we make an edit here or change something, instantly it gets updated on this side as well, so that they can see that new change that's been made. Then I have to refresh the page. And then I just, as you were talking about maybe gating it as well. So I gated that with an email. Basically, people can come in and they can see. Actually, let me show you real quick. Let's see. I'm just going to open this in a incognito window so you can see what that experience looks like, and switch my screen here. This would be really cool actually for a list like this, because when it's gated, either with an email or a cost, basically you still have access to view the milestones and even the titles of the milestones, but you can't actually click on anything. So I'm trying to click through on it and nothing clicks. So you see the little X on it. So you
Which
can actually start to see
Pilates ball is Shan's favorite? I've got to know.
exactly. So then they'll hit unlock with email. They'll unlock it and then they'll view it how we were seeing it before, which is like full access to the board. And you can start building a list, you know, and to actually like kind of build a following.
Okay, so I have a couple of thoughts.
Yeah.
So the month is one structure, right?
Right.
You could also, it could be, you know, household items. It could be built however you want. But I do personally kind of love the idea of like curating a list throughout the entire year. I think that's kind of interesting.
I do too, because it did start with a weekly link idea. And if you do that, that setup is like, I like it.
Yeah, and we're gonna have a feature rollout. I don't know when, maybe Fletcher has an update, but we will have a rollout to where anytime you update your list, people on your email list will get a notification. So
that's awesome.
They'll be able to know, oh, Shan added something new, which will be just a little signal to bring them back to the board to keep top of mind. The other thing that I was going to add is when you start to find you have a lot of content, maybe for home goods or something, or for fashion or whatever, makeup, you know, as you're starting to see that grow within this list, then you could create another jaunt board that's just like, you know, that kind of topic and theme. And maybe it's even, you figure out a way to make it even more highly valuable. So it's like maybe tutorials by you, or just something that like people would be willing to pay for just because it's a little, you know, more higher touch, interesting access. So, and you can link out, you can create flow from any jaunt board to any jaunt board within your own ecosystem. Or if there's someone else, you know, that you really like their jaunt boards, you know, you can link to them too. So it's a nice way to create flow back and forth between everything. Yeah, anyway, it can kind of grow with you is the point.
Yep.
Oh yeah, you want to talk? Yeah, so then there's like, so these are kind of guides, right? You build them one time, and then they exist. They're kind of like passive income if you're monetizing them, or a nice little way for you to create an email list. But like, let's say you want to create a job for yourself, and there's certain things that you want to provide services for. Consulting, maybe, because everyone loves how you decorate homes. You're like, you know what? I kind of want to try my hand at interior design as one of my new revenue streams to make some, you know, new income within that jaunt board or that section, or even that link. You can create, you know, add a Calendly link or something to go straight to you for a consult. And so you can offer free Calendly links where you can show up for 15 minutes and just see if it's a good fit. You can say, hey, to get an hour of my time, I cost $100 or whatever that is. And so for people to even show up on your calendar, they've already paid you. You know, there's like, yeah, within all of these worlds, there's the opportunity for you to become a consultant or to provide certain services, monetizing a whole new way. So you don't just have to be Shan, the social media manager anymore, right? Like, we are living in a world where portfolio careers are the future. It's like, I'm a human being with all of these talents and interests, and I want to make my money 5 different ways. And here's the 5 different ways that I do it, right?
And that is so tricky because of, like, I am one of those people, and there seems to be such, like, you can only be and market one thing. Like, you are this, you know, like, I am an actor, but I also do a lot of other things. So, and I agree with you. Like, it's insane to think that we are one thing. And that is, I think it's like the programming of a former generation where a lot of people, you know, like, the data shows that people stayed in one job. My dad had one job until he retired, the same one, you know, and that is the way you know, that's the way it was.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, okay, so you go live with your 2023 guide. And anytime someone's in it, there's always a link.
Right.
Back. Yeah. Who is Shan Mobley? Click on that. Then you go back to your homepage where you can basically say, here's all my guides. Here's all the different jobs, ways to hire me. You could have an acting category. And under acting, you've got a voiceover board, and you've got like, you know, your commercials, you know, or like whatever, like films that you've been in. And you can just link out to those things. I know I see Andrew Hartman's on here. It's like, he's a voiceover actor in Cincinnati. So it's like, man, building a jaunt board of curating all the different voiceovers you've done, or even character. You'd be like, I can be this kind of character, and I can be this kind of character, and just like allow people to kind of click through that way. So it really becomes the new business card, right? Here's Mobley. Here's who I am. Here's all the things I'm interested in. Here's all the different ways you can hire me. All right here.
Yeah.
You could do that on a website, but this is just way more interesting and way easier to monetize at scale.
I love that it's all in one place. I love that it's functional in a way that LinkedIn is not. I mean, LinkedIn is like a resume business card, but that's it. And then you get a lot of creepy emails from people. Hey, how's it going? We have a great offer for you. Like, this is just it's so high functioning.
Yeah.
We feel like too, when people are like looking to branch out and like kind of, I don't know, start to pressure test some of the skills that they know they have, this is a real, like, this is a nice baby step in that direction where you can actually like build out what you're thinking, like, hey, I think I have a future in this. I think I could really like offer services here. You can, the first step being creating what your process is to do it immediately shows value to yourself and your clients, right? It's proving that, oh, I do have a way I'm going to attack this. It is kind of unique to me. And you can stand on the confidence of the process that you put together. And then also it's immediately an action item for people who are viewing your job boards to actually open them, discover what your services are, and then reach out to you. And so it's like, we say it's like such a way better way to spend your calories than like just trying to build a website for yourself or something. It's like, no, just spend the time defining your processes and your services, because people can actually grab that and use it and hire you.
And that process is very therapeutic for you as well. Just getting
100%.
your stuff organized for yourself.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
So yeah, we're almost at time. I mean, do you feel like this is a platform that would help solve your problem and get you going?
Yes, because the thought of building a website, I did it once when it was easy to do them. And I do not want to do that again, ever. I would pay someone to do it if I ever did. But honestly, in leaning into the simplicity era, this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's
Awesome.
not doing anything other than what it needs to do.
Yeah. Well, amazing. And you're not just saying that because you're my friend?
No.
Awesome.
I'm not. I love it. You guys have built something great. I think it's awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you for exploring this with us today.
Oh my gosh. Thank you
This
so much
was
for
fun.
having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Shan's available for social media, for acting, for voiceovers. What else? Is that it? Interior design? I don't know. We'll see.
Audition coaching.
Okay. Yep.
Got a big audition coming up. I've helped friends book things on NBC and CBS and theater, all the things.
Amazing.
Cool.
Yay. All right. Well, thanks, Shan. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Shan.
Thank
you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.